Hey, so I want to talk about a story of Jesus. It's a story where Jesus is in this house. Um, there's no way to get in the house because there's so many people in it. There's just no way of entrance, and they have a situation where a man that can't stand on his own, um, and they really want to get him in there to get healed, and so they literally rip the roof off to get Jesus in there. And I kept thinking how important that was. What I mean, he gets healed, and that's amazing. Like they lower him down through the roof, Jesus heals him, and that's sometimes what we just focus on, the fact that he gets healed and he can stand and he can walk. But I'm just amazed at the guys that rip the roof off. I mean, it's just a whole nother factor of it that I wanted to look at today. Was sometimes we've got to look at ripping the roof off when people can't find an entrance in, and they can't find a way to be accepted, and they can't find a way to be loved and get to that place of being loved and accepted. And it's time for us to see people rip the roof off. And I was looking at the situation that we have right now with the social unrest, and um, was reminded of back in, I think it was like 1970. I was about 7 years old, and I was at a swimming pool, and indoor swimming pool, Trenham Road Park, I think it was, in Columbia. And I was in this indoor swimming pool with a bunch of friends. We're having a great time. This neighbor had brought us there, and I didn't really know the neighbor's mom too well, but she had brought us there. And all of a sudden, she comes running up to us because in walked a black family with some black children, and they started getting in the pool. And this lady runs up to us, and she says, "Hurry, hurry, get out of the pool!" And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, and so we had to get out of the pool, and we get in the car, and I'll never forget the scene. I mean, like it's just one of those things indelibly stamped in my heart. Like I was like, I was kind of ticked to start with that. Like, hey man, like I'm having a fun time in this pool. Why I gotta leave, you know? And but then I asked her daughter in the car. I said, why do we have to leave? And she said, well, because black people enter the pool. And I said, oh. I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, because I was raised. My parents didn't teach me to be racist at all, and so I was like, what? And so she was like, yeah, we don't, swim with black people. I was like, what? I just remember being incensed. Something in my gut was like, this is just wrong. So, I mean, I think I gave her mom a dirty look when we got out of the car because I was like, that's just terrible. And so, I went to school with, I mean, my school was like 65% black. Like, so I went to school with black folks. I love, had no issues and wasn't trained that way. So it was just appalling to me. And then I was thinking about, we just watched the movie, and I'm no spoilers, I'll be careful, but the movie with Tom Hanks in it called um, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and it's about Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, and I tell you, that guy, he was a complex individual. Like he wasn't just this man that just really soft spoken, that spent time with children wearing his cardigan and his tennis shoes. No, this guy, like, he was making progress way beyond his years. He was ahead of the curve. So there's this one scene. I just shared one scene, and it's not a spoiler. So um, there's one scene in there where, so this was back in the 60s when he did this. Might have been 65, 68, somewhere in there. And it was literally illegal back then for black people to come swim with white people. So what does Mr. Rogers do? He goes and gets a kiddie swimming pool. So he has a swimming pool, fills it with water, and he's sitting there with his cardigan on, but his tennis shoes are off, so he can wash his feet. And he's washing his feet in the pool, and up walks this black police officer. I find it interesting with all the unrest we have around police officers and racism. And so here he comes, and Mr. Rogers says, "Hey, would you like to put your feet in the pool with me?" So, sure enough, the police officer takes his shoes off and puts his feet in the water with him, and Mr. Rogers literally washes the black police officer's feet. I was like, wow, what a statement he was making. He was ripping the roof off, so to speak, so that folks could be accepted and loved. And I thought, man, this is such a picture of what we need to do. See, I don't know that we can strategize our way out of the racism right now, nor the issue with um, the law, um, and any of the other issues going on right now with COVID and all this stuff. Yeah, I just believe that if we could learn to stand with those that are having difficulty standing, like the paralytic, and if we'd be willing to make ways for them in, you know, and rip roofs off. But so much of it is us just learning how to stand with, even in Ephesians, after it talks about the gospel armor, one of the things it tells us to do, having done everything, stand, and then stand. Like, it's like if we stood with people that are in these struggles of any kind of marginalization, um, then it diminishes. Like, if you stand with people that are dealing with racism, um, it diminishes racism's ability to stand. So I saw this in that story. The guy couldn't get in, and they made a way by ripping the roof off. I believe that's what we're supposed to do. I think that's what Jesus did. He was constantly with the lepers and with the harlots, and he would be with the sinners, and he was called a wine bibber because he hung out in the bars with people. I mean, he constantly went to the Samaritans and the Syrophoenician woman. I mean, he was constantly ministering to those that were marginalized. And the way he did it was he was just with them. Let's learn to be with people, not against, but stand with them and see the ability for that thing that's coming against them diminish its ability to stand.